Aloha, it's day 4, and I will be reading the Bible again to share with with family and friends. Genesis 8 is where I'll be starting, and just reflecting on the day. Been able to talk to my daughter, and again, continuing to pray for all those that have been impacted by the floods in the southern part of the United States, in Texas and Florida. And as we think about what's going on there, it's just to take pause and just you know um, ask myself what I can do. Again, my thoughts and prayers immediately go out to my friend Dennis Lavasser, who is a fellow rescue swimmer. We served together in 1990 and 1994, HC1 as a fleet angel, and he is continuing to do those things, to be serving and rescuing, and he's a captain of his department. So one, just being very proud of him, but my heart and my prayers go out to him as his house was flooded and impacted. They lost the whole first floor of their house. So there is going to be a link on Facebook that I'll put up later, but just to, if there's something that you can do to help out financially, prayers are of course first and foremost, but just consider doing that to help them out. They're a great family, and so again, Toy and Dennis and their kids and their animals, they did lose a horse through this, so but they continue to move forward and help and be there for others. So I'd like to be there for them. So let me get to the Bible here. 1 second. Here we go. So last night we were talking about chapter 6. Noah building the ark, and it raining, and they had rain in Texas and in we're about to get into the floods here, but they had rain just basically for 4 or 5 days. And when I lived in New York, my family went through flooding in our basement, which we tried to use as a living space, and that didn't work very well. We learned nature doesn't care. God, and when I say nature, I mean that's God's handiwork. That's God's hand, as He moves upon the earth and His forces. So nature just doesn't care. It gives no consideration. So those forces that come into play, and they affect us and they humble us as humans, right? It's amazing how we try and control weather, but it rains for 3 or 4 days, and look what happens, right? So it's sad. We're devastated by it, but at the same time, we have to realize the awesome power. Again, I believe in a God. I believe in God and Creator of the universe. All these things that are here, it's and when you mathematically start to look at things, and then you start to look at things from a biological level, and how things are structured, from a physics level. I'm learning more about physics every day. It's just like there's patterns to everything, and it's like when you look at a painting, there's like, unless it's Jackson Pollock, but even Jackson Pollock has a method about his style of painting. Of you may see how it looks like he's throwing paint just at a canvas, but he is going for something. He has a desire to put something up, and there's a plan about it. But when you start to look at how I and you are made, and you start to break it down as how we function, our arms function, our legs function, our brains, how that function. But then you start to get to from a macro to a micro level, It's amazing. It is completely and utterly fantastic how our eyes work and how our heart works, and it's I don't know. I'm boggled that that we as humans sometimes will look and say, you know what, I just there's I will not give credence to a creator. But to each his own. But God calls us right when He left. He said, "Hey, listen, I want you to go out and preach the good news. That's all you need to do. You don't need to worry about doing anything else. But do that." He does. He helps us. He says, "Love people," and so that's what I'm trying to do. I try and do that every day. I do, and this is not cop out, but I do make mistakes. But man, that's the great thing about grace, right? And I have learned from others that I've learned all that I can, right? And not to stay in the mistakes. So learn things from mistakes. Let's move forward. So with that, let me get into Genesis 8. Father God, thank you for your word. Thank you for this time. Just wish to, I'm talking to you, grandchildren. I hope this gets to you. I want you to know that I love you, and I am praying for you on this side. You are a thought to God, and you are a thought to me right now. So, and my children as well, and even to my ex-wife, who I adore, and she's wonderful. So, anyways, this it's for them. But I want to dedicate my day and my reading to Dennis Lavasser again. I've mentioned him before. But so let's talk about what God's got for me right now to share with you. Noah's deliverance. Chapter 8, Genesis. Then God remembered Noah and every living thing and all the animals that were with him in the ark. And God made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters subsided. The fountains of the deep and the windows of heaven were also stopped, and the rain from heaven was restrained, and the waters receded continually from the earth. At the end of 150 days, the waters decreased. So that's 5 months in our time, right? How we keep calendar. So pay attention to God's going to give it to us, like how long before they were able to step out of the ark. But so right now it rained for 40 days, so that's a month and 10 days, and then the waters were on the earth for another 5 months. So we're at 6 months now. So that's a cruise, right? For those of us in the military, back before cruises got longer, the 6 months was a deployment. So 6 months. But these in the Navy, we pull into port, right? I think the longest I ever did out at sea at one time was 23 days. That's nothing, right? Compared to what we're going to find out here about Noah. So it came to pass at the end of 40 days that Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made. Remember, so he built a window around the top portion of the ark. And then he sent out a raven, which kept going back and forth, to and fro, until the waters had dried up from the earth. He also sent out from himself a dove to see if the waters had receded from the face of the ground. Now, I wish I knew more. I think there's some symbolism here with the raven and the dove, and I need to go back and I need to unpack that a little bit. So I look forward to talking about that a little bit more. But the dove found no resting place for the sole of her foot, and she returned into the ark to him, for the waters were on the face of the whole earth. So he put out his hand and took her and drew her into the ark himself. And he waited another 7 days. Again, 7 days, and interesting. And again he sent the dove out from the ark. Then the dove came to him in the evening, and behold, a freshly plucked olive leaf was in her mouth. Olive leaf, right? Olive branch, I believe signifies peace. Again, I'm probably speaking out of turn, but I think it's a symbol, obviously, because she brings us back to him, and which was good. Okay. Then the dove came to him in the evening, and behold, a freshly plucked olive leaf was in her mouth, and Noah knew that the waters had receded from the earth. So he waited yet another 7 days, and sent out a dove, which did not return again to him any more. And it came to pass in the 601st year, in the first month, the first day of that month, that the waters were dried up from the earth. So for us, that would be at January 1st, right? So I'm not sure of the calendar that that is being referred to here. So, but Moses is writing this, so it'd be interesting to figure that out. So again, man, the Bible has just so much to look into and unpack and move around like a puzzle. I mean, not to change it or anything, but it's like a puzzle. And indeed, and in the second month, on the 27th day of the month, the earth was dried. Okay. Then God spoke to Noah and saying, he said, go out of the ark, you and your wife and your sons wives with you. So remember, he had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, Japheth. They each had 1 wife. Okay, so that's 6 people right there. And then Noah and his wife. So that's 8. 8, again, there's that number of perfection. So so things are perfected with this family. Man, so just imagine this. There's no humans left anymore. I wonder what that might have been like, for Noah. I mean, Noah's being prepared, I think, because he knew that, he was given this cause to go and build this ark. But what is it like? And as the earth dries up, where are these bodies? Man, this is the first time I've had that thought. Where did these bodies go? So when the waters receded, did they go into the ocean? Man, that's something, I wonder where all these bodies went. That's crazy. I mean, there's sea creatures, so who knows, right? I mean, how many people were on the earth at this time? I mean, I believe it happened, but, I wonder where the bodies went. Did they decompose? Well, it was a year, right? I mean, Noah was in the ark basically for a year. So, Here we go. So Noah went out with his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him. Every animal, every creeping thing, every bird, and whatever creeps on the earth, according to their families, went out of the ark. So everything that was on the ark left the ark. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord and took every clean animal and of every clean bird and offered burnt offerings on the altar. So he took these animals, he sacrificed them, and he put them, because again, the sacrifice system is still in play, is in play, obviously. That notifies us that, hey man, we're fallen. We can't be in communion with a holy and perfect God. And so this is the way at this time that to be able to bring that community back again. So there's a sacrificial system that's set up. And it's hard and it's arduous, right? So, and the Lord smelled a soothing aroma. So that's interesting because, I just made a steak tonight and man, it smelled good, right? And I even overcooked it a little bit because I love it like medium rare. It's probably where I like it. But it smelled good. So that's interesting. Then the Lord said in his heart, I will never again curse the ground for man's sake, although the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. So even though, right, God wipes this off the face of the earth, Noah found favor in God's sight. But even then, here, God is like, hey, letting us know, it's like, man, we're fallen. But he says, I never again, nor will I again destroy every living thing as I have done. So just take that in. While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, winter and summer, and day and night shall not cease. So that's chapter 8. I'm going to continue with chapter 9. So God made a promise to Noah. So God blessed Noah and his sons, and he said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. So again, this is the same charge that he had given to Adam and Eve, right? Noah is, I believe, 10 generations removed from Adam. So Adam would be his great grandfather. And so he's giving Noah the same charge. Go and fill the earth with family, okay? And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be on every beast of the earth. So that's interesting, right? So it's not like fear like to cower, but it's the fear that they know that they are in the presence probably of a creature that can take their life, right? And of every bird in the air, and of course we've got animals that can destroy us on singularly, but God has given us a different capacity, and that's with our mind, our thinking mind. Anyways, I'm kind of all over the place. On every bird of the air, on all that move on the earth, and all the fish of the sea, they are given into your hand. So God has given, again, dominion over to men to care for the earth. And again, we can get into the arguments of like, hey, we mess it up and we destroy it, but he has given us that care. It's our charge, right? So there's two charges: be fruitful and multiply, and take charge of the land and the animals. Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. Interesting. Everything that moves. So, I don't know if there's an argument that where they say, hey, we're vegetarians and all that stuff. Well, God said it right here. Everything that moves is food for you. So I have also given you all the things, even as the green herbs, right? So every plant, right? But you shall not eat, now here's interesting, but you shall not eat flesh with its life, that is, its blood. So again, this is where we get into those practices of where in Islam and Judaism, they drain the blood out of the animal, okay? So this custom, again, it'd be interesting to unpack, but I believe the custom goes away as Jesus comes and fulfills the law. These food rules that they had. So, and there's a purpose for that, and we'll unpack that as we get into Exodus and Leviticus. Surely for your lifeblood I will demand a reckoning. From the hand of every beast I will require it, and from the hand of man. For the hand of every man's brother I will require the life of man. So what it's talking about right here is if a man takes the life of another, then the blood of the one that's taking life is demanded by God. Whoever sheds man's blood, by man his blood shall be shed. For in the image of God he made man. So it's God's the creator. We're not. God decrees to us, it's like you should not take life. You should not take men's life. I mean, a man should not plan to kill somebody. Now, and the justice is, if a life is taken, then God demands that the one who took the life, his life be given up. And as for you, be fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply in it. And then God spoke to Noah and to his sons with him, saying, and as for me, behold, I establish my covenant. A covenant is a promise. This is something that I'm going to do. It's a contract with you and your descendants after you, and with every living creature that is with you, the birds, the cattle, every beast of the earth with you, of all that go out of the ark, and every beast of the earth. Thus I establish my covenant with you. Never again shall all flesh, all humans, be cut off by waters of the flood. Not by waters of the flood, but there is going to be another way that God comes to make his presence known and to let us know, it's like, I'm the God, I'm the creator, and it's time to it's time for reckoning. So, but God's not going to do it by water. Never again shall there be a flood to destroy the earth. And God said, this is a sign of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you. So all the creatures know this too. For perpetual generations. I set my rainbow in the cloud, and it shall be for the sign of the covenant between me and the earth. And it's just, I saw a rainbow today, and I'm reminded of this covenant every time I see a rainbow. It shall be when I bring a cloud over the earth, and that the rainbow shall be seen in the cloud, and I remember my covenant which is between me and you. Now this hit me the other night because I was reading forward a little bit. So get this: there's a rainbow somewhere 24/7 on the earth, because we know rainbow is, by physics, right, is light interacting with water particles, and it causes this rainbow effect. And again, when you look at a rainbow, it's not scattered. It's this perfect shape, right? And sometimes I've seen double rainbows, but it's neat to see one rainbow and a rainbow go from end to end. But so think about this. There's a rainbow somewhere 24/7 on the earth. So God's covenant is happening. I mean, he's being reminded himself, and he's reminding us. But 365 days, a year, every moment, every second, because there's a rainbow that is happening on the earth. So kind of take that. I mean, it hit me, and I was just like, man, God is just incredible, And so somebody can challenge me on that, but I'd love to midrash that out. And God said to Noah, this is the sign of the covenant which I have established between me and all the flesh that is on the earth. Noah, now the sons of Noah who went out of the ark were Shem, Ham, Japheth, or I'm going to say Japheth. And Ham was the father of Canaan. Now this is kind of interesting. These three were the sons of Noah. So Ham is noted right off here in the very beginning. And from these, the whole earth was populated. So from these three sons, which again, Noah was the father, and Adam was the great grandfather. We are descendants of these three. These three forefathers. Okay. Now we get into something that's kind of interesting. This story. And Noah began to be a farmer, and he planted a vineyard. Then he drank of the wine, and became drunk, and became uncovered in his tent. So he's naked in his tent, right? So Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brothers outside. But Shem and Japheth took a garment, laid it on both their shoulders, and they went in backwards, right? And covered the nakedness of their father. Their faces were turned away, and they did not see their father's nakedness. So Noah awoke from his wine and knew that his younger son had done to him. Then he said, I don't know. This is something I've got to really kind of investigate, listen to Chuck Smith, Chuck Missler, Ray Bentley. There's some teachers that can give me some insight on this, and I'd like to know more. So it's hard to get this story. You got and Lord, so I'm asking you to, just enlighten me, Holy Spirit. So you got Noah. He gets drunk. He gets naked in his own tent. So it's interesting. Where's his wife? But I don't know what's going on there. Then his son Ham sees him, and so obviously it's bad. right? Because you're not supposed to, like, I don't know, nobody wants to look on their any of their parents naked, right? But for some reason he sees his father naked, and then his two brothers, they go in and cover him. So, cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants he shall be to his brothers. And he said, blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant. May God enlarge Japheth. So these two, the other two brothers, are getting blessed, and Canaan, Ham, is being cursed, basically. And may he dwell in the tents of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant. And Noah lived after the flood 350 years. So all the days of Noah, we'll get this, were 950 years, and he died. So that's that's I'm gonna leave it with those two readings tonight. I'm gonna continue to read Genesis 10, Matthew 4, a little bit, some of Psalms chapter 4, and then Proverbs 120. But man, there's just a lot here. I mean, Genesis is one of my favorite books. And for so many reasons. There's prophecy in it. It's the capstone. I mean, it's the beginning, right? It lays a foundation for humanity. Obviously, we see our fall in the first couple of chapters, and of course, there's creation. And then it's ended with the book of Revelation. But these two books go together for sure. They're like the bookends, right, of all these other books. And again, I trust that God has given us His Word, and I, there are times I question, but I trust and I faithfully love God, and I will do my best to follow Him. So, thank you for your time, grandchildren, children of mine. I hope that there's a blessing in this. I know it's a little long. I may be a little long-winded, but I hope I enjoy doing this, and I hope that it blesses you as well. I love you, and again, my motivation is in honoring Dennis Lavasser, and his family. So, mahalo, peace, God bless you. Until I get to do this again.